Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and in today's video I want to talk about PlayStation versus Xbox. Now, there's always been rivalry in games console fans. In my house at the minute it's very much PlayStation versus Xbox, but go back to the 90s and it was Sega versus Nintendo, but Nintendo really sort of seem to be out of the picture at the minute. They're off on a niche kind of thing on their own, so it is Sony versus Microsoft. Now, I've been on both sides. Since the demise of Sega and the end of the Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast era, I then met my wife, had some children, and we've had every PlayStation model except the PlayStation 5 and every Xbox model, including Series X. But personally, I have owned and enjoyed both the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3, and I loved the original Xbox. Portable wise, you've got the PSP and the PS Vita from Sony, but portable market is something that Microsoft haven't jumped into. So if you're not a Nintendo fan, then Sony is your portable route. Now, I swing more towards the Sony side. The original Xbox from Microsoft was fantastic. I've owned a few. The games were amazing, so games like Halo, Halo 2, Red Dead Revolver, Half-Life 2, Brute Force, Dead or Alive, Beach Volleyball, Serious Sam, and Destroy All Humans. These were fantastic games on an awesome console, a console that was excellent for moderns, so you could make it into a fantastic emulation machine. It really was miles ahead, sort of hardware wise, than anything else on the market. The PS2 is still the biggest selling console, absolutely fantastic. The PS3 was my first step into what I would call modern gaming. Normally I sort of dip a few generations back, but the PS3 was fantastic. It had Fear 1, 2 and 3, Wolfenstein New Order, Twisted Metal, Little Big Planet, Black Ops and Black Ops 2 and Resistance 1, 2 and 3. Absolutely phenomenal games, and it's the console that really got me back into gaming. I didn't move to a PlayStation 4. I liked the PlayStation 4, never owned one. I think it's mainly because it meant I would lose my entire PS3 game catalogue. For me, I think Sony wins. I've not been a fan of newer Xbox consoles, so anything from the 360 onwards, not had any interest in. Some of my children are Xbox fans, and like I said, some of mine are PlayStation fans, and the Xbox wins in backward compatibility. That's something I have to give Microsoft hats off to, and you can play some original Xbox games on a 360 and Xbox One and even on a Series X, and so big shout there for Microsoft for trying to keep older games alive rather than sort of killing it off. And like you do with newer machines, they can't play the older games because they're not compatible, or in days of sort of cartridges you couldn't play them on the actual physical system. So for me, I prefer Sony consoles, especially portables. PS2, PS3, absolutely awesome. Like I said, the PS4 dropped any backward compatibility to the PS3 unless you wanted to buy them again on the store, which I don't enjoy. PS5, you can play PS4 games on it, so it brought some kind of backward compatibility, but Sony tend to favour remasters and remakes and rebuying, and I'm not a fan of that. So like I said, Microsoft, with their trying to bring as many older games onto newer consoles, just on that sort of game preservation wave, I think it's a great idea. Nintendo do it, but they're a bit like Sony. They do try to make you rebuy it rather than allowing you to use your older copies of games for older systems. So PlayStation versus Xbox, Sony versus Microsoft. For me, I am leaning way more towards the Sony side. Like I said, PS2, PSP, PS Vita, fantastic consoles. The only console that I really did enjoy from Microsoft was the original Xbox. That's me. That's a brief look through the rivalry that you get in any kind of games market. Like I said, you had Sega versus Nintendo, but now it is Sony versus Microsoft, and for me, Sony win. So let me know what you think. Are you a die-hard Sony fan, or do you prefer whatever Microsoft offers? Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.